So we were working through to the end of page, well, question 13 on 202. Did you want to go through any of the questions from 201 or 202, girls?
Nope. I'm good.
You're okay? Were you able to get to the end of 13, girls?
Yep. Yeah.
Really? Good for you. Awesome. Okay, so let's have a look then at, I'm going to go through a couple questions from each of the sections with you on 203 and 204. And that takes us to the end of that. So I will produce an assignment for you for tomorrow. If you can, well, for Friday, not for tomorrow, for Friday. Because there's 21 questions in that review. But I'm going to do a couple questions with you. Okay? So flip to page 203. All right, first question says, using substitution, okay, so what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to do two questions, and I'm going to do both methods each time so that you get an idea as to how to do each of them. So the first one I'll do substitution. So I'm going to use B. I'm going to get y by itself. So I first subtract 5x to both sides, and then I'm going to times it by -1. Now I'm going to substitute into equation A. So I've got 2x plus 3 times. So I substitute in for y. I put 5x plus 15 in for y here. I'm going to simplify now. So I have 2x plus 15x plus 45 equals 11. 17x equals minus 34. X is equal to -2. Okay, so 2x and 15x make 17x. I subtracted the 45 to the other side. That gave me -34. Divide by 17, I end up with -2. Now I'm going to use equation B to solve for what y is. So that gives me -10, subtract y equals -15. Minus y equals -5. Y is equal to 5. So I get a coordinate of -2 and 5. And again, my suggestion to you girls would be to, at the end of this, once I've got it here, is put those into your Desmos app, graph them, and make sure that you got -2 and 5 for that question. Okay? So that's substitution method. The second way to do this question the second way to do this question would be to do the elimination method. So I've got a -y here and a +3 there, so I'm going to multiply b by -3. So I'm going to end up with a being the same as it was. Now b becomes minus 15x minus 3y equals minus 45. Okay? Add those together. I feel like I got an error here somewhere. No, I don't know. Oh, there's no negative there. Sorry. You got an error. Okay, so it's 15x. So now, line underneath, 17x equals minus 34. X equals negative 2. And then, same thing right here. Go back down and do it again. So, when you compare the two, all right, the substitution method, you solve for y or x in one of them, put it into the other to get your x or your y. Elimination method, you're getting rid of your y or your x in order to solve for one. And then the rest of the process is the same thing. You don't change that. Okay? Any questions so far? All right.
Nope, I'm good.
You're okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Okay. Now let's step it up a little bit. Let's go with okay, let's go to question 7C. I want to start with it. So 7C, I have x over 3 plus y over 2. Is equal to 1 over 6. And that's A. And B is minus 6y plus 8 equals negative x. All right, so the first thing that I notice is both of them look fairly sloppy and messy right now. Okay, top one has fractions. I don't want fractions. The second one isn't in ax plus by equals c form. So I'm going to have to change both of them to work with them. So in A now, I'm going to multiply everything by 6. So this by 6, this by 6, and this by 6. Okay, that's going to leave me with 2x plus 3y, and that is equal to 1. Okay, 6 divided by 3 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 6 divided by 6 is 1. In B, I'm going to arrange it a little different. I'm going to move the x over and the 8 over. Okay, so I added x to this side. So x subtract 6y. I subtracted 8 to that side. It wants us to do elimination method. Okay, so elimination method, I'm going to multiply this top one by 2. So I'm going to end up with A being 4x plus 6y equals 2. All right. Make sure I got everything right here. Add these together, I get 5x equals negative 6. X equals negative 6 over 5. And if you read earlier in one of your books or one of the questions, it said try your best to leave them as fractions. So I would leave it as minus 6 over 5. Okay, that's what x equals. Let's just make sure we've done this all right. I want to make sure because generally they don't give us fractions, but we'll check anyways. So here's question 7. Yep, we got it right. So now what we have to do, is we have to substitute it into one of the equations. Okay, so I'm going to put it into this equation right here. So I've got minus 6y plus 8 equals negative 6 over 5. So I have minus 6y plus 8 equals 6 over 5. Minus 6y equals 6 over 5. Subtract. So I've got to subtract 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to 40 over 5. Like that. So I get minus 6y equals minus 34 over 5. And I'm going to times by negative 1/6. I'm going to get 34 over 30. Okay, so this part here, one of the things I worked this through with fractions, and I got a common denominator, and then right here I times by negative 1/6. It's the same as dividing by negative 6 to get to here. One of the things that maybe is easier for you is if you're at this point right here, is times everything by 5. Because then that gets rid of your denominator right there. Then simplify it. Minus 30y equals minus 34. Y equals 34 over 30. Okay? Either method is good. I know lots of us don't like to use fractions. So when it comes to solving, I often will get rid of my denominator, and then I know I'm going to end up with a fraction anyways, but if I get rid of the denominator, then the rest of the math is a little bit easier. This part right here tends to cause some issues when you are having to subtract and get a common denominator. Now, I'm okay with that too, but just a thought. All right. Let's look at question 8 now, girls. All right. Starred ones usually mean that there's a little more to them. So Wade pays a monthly charge for his cell phone plus a charge per text message. In January, when he sent 300 text messages, his bill was $63. Wade missed his February payment, so in March he paid $142.50 for 675 text messages and a $12 late fee charge. What is Wade's monthly cell phone charge? All right. Okay. So, okay, so one of the things I would do for this question is I would go, all right, his cost for his cell phone. The cost for his cell phone is number of texts times the price per text. Okay, so that's my rate. Normally we would call that our slope. All right, plus our monthly fee. Okay, so the cost is the number of text messages times the rate or the price per text plus a monthly fee. So in January, he sent 300 text messages, so his cost is equal to 300 text messages. I'm going to make X the rate. So let me do this. I didn't write my defining statement. Let me do that right now. Y is going to be the cost for the bill, and X is going to be the rate for text messages. Okay, so I go y is equal to 300x plus, well, I got that phi. So I'll make that, I'll just put f there. So that's plus my phi. So I have a couple unknowns here. I actually have 3 unknowns. So I've got to somehow figure life out when it comes to this. Okay? But it did, sorry. The y, though, we do know what it is. We know what that y is because it was $63. So I only have 2 unknowns now. I don't know how much it was per text. That's my rate. So this is rate per text. And then I don't know my monthly fee. Okay? So then it says, all right, now it was $142.50, his next bill. He sent 675 text messages. He has a fee, but I also have to add on a $12 late charge. So I add an extra $12 to it. Okay? So I'm going to leave A as is. I'm going to leave my A as is. My B equation, I've got to kind of narrow this down a little bit. So my B equation is going to become this. Subtract 12 from this side. Plus F. Just like that. Okay? My A equation, this one, notice I have a positive F right here. I'm going to change that to a negative F. And to change it to a negative F, I have to change everything here. Makes it easier for using the elimination method. So I'm going to go minus 63 is equal to minus 300x minus F. So I have 130.50 equals 675x plus F minus 63 minus 300x minus F. Okay, so now I am going to simply add the 2 together. So what is that? 66.50, I think. 67.50. Did I do that right? So I have $67.50 equals 375x. My fees cancel out. I divide to find out how much a text cost, and I have a text costing 18 cents. So I have 18 cents per text. So now what I'm going to do is find out what my monthly fee is. So I've got $63 is equal to 300 times 0.18. Add my monthly fee. So 63 minus 300 times 0.18. My monthly fee, if only it was that much money, is $9. Okay, so the text messages cost 18 cents a text message. The monthly fee was $9 for this. This one was a lot more difficult because I had a late charge. I was given the amount of text. I was given the amount of money. I needed to find my rate, and I needed to find my fee. So it was a little different than what we're used to. Normally, we're given our slope, we're given our y-intercept, and we got to use the y and the x. But in this case, it worked out different. So it's important that I still identify what my defining parts are to this into this question. Doing okay, girls?
Yep, doing
Okay. Avery, all right?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'm going to let you work, girls. Let's look at 11. 11 is the one kind of similar to the one that you asked yesterday. So it says, Yasmin invested $2,100 in high yield investments. Part of the $2,100 was invested at 7% per year, and part was at 10% per year. Okay, so two investments. So let's just call that investment A and investment B. Together, she invested $2,100. So X plus Y equals 2,100. Now, yesterday we found out that to find simple interest, we take the amount that's invested and we times it by the rate as a decimal, times it by the 1 year. Can one of you tell me what the B equation is for this? Based on, it was invested at 7% per annum and part at 10% per annum. And after 1 year, the total interest earned was $166.50. Can you give me, one of the two of you or both of you, give me the equation? It'll be very similar to yesterday's. What do you see?
X 0.1 plus Y 0.07 equals 166.5.
Okay, do that one more time, please.
0.1x plus 0.07 equals 166.50.
Oh, very well done. Very well done. There's one little thing that I would do. Okay, so you had this right. You said 0.1x plus, then you said 0.07, but you,
Y.
yeah, exactly. Very good. You picked up on your error. That's awesome. Okay, and it wasn't really an error. You just left it out. So X is A, Y is B. Okay, so I had 0.07y, and that equaled 166.50. Excellent. Okay. So at this point here, you can use substitution if you think that you could do it well with substitution right off. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Personally, I would probably times that B1 by 100. So I would have A is X plus Y equals 2,100. I'd leave that as is. I change B to 10X plus 7Y equals 16,650. Like that. And probably times A by -10. So A is equal to minus 10x minus 10y equals minus 21,000. Minus 3y equals 4,350, I think. That should work. Yep. So I got Y is equal to $1,450. So investment B is $1,450. I could take that away from 2,100. And I would get $650 as my second investment. All right. Any questions about that one, girls? Okay. All right. I'm going to leave you on here for another 20 or so minutes in case you have any questions, just so that I know if you know that you can ask if you want. Let's get this review done basically for Monday. And on Friday, I will give you an assignment that you can have through the weekend based on page 203 and 204. Okay? All right, I'll mute myself, and you are still on live. So if you need any questions, just ask.